I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me.
Ding dong, the witch yacht bitch is gone. Thank you guys for coming into work a day early. Please produce the A-Train shirts. Shout out to Tony. This is a comment we missed last week, more specifically A-Train. I am A-Train missed. Tony, you know we love you, man. You're an OG. Welcome everyone to District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically a Commanders podcast. I did not tell my co-host KDot I was about to do that, but that is KDot. I am also known as A-Train. KDot, how are you doing today?
Ooh, all aboard the A-Train. Doing well. I've been better. It's just a reminder after that comment that I still have stuff I need to get done. Be the t-shirts, as well as look, I actually finished putting the little intro at one of that podcasts I was telling you guys about across one of my movie theater experience.
Yeah.
It's just sitting. I haven't uploaded it. It's just fucking sitting. And then what? Across Spider-Verse is like 4 months old now? What the fuck is wrong with me, man? I need to get my shit together.
There are just so many ideas formulating in your head. You just don't even know where to begin. I think a lot of people run into that, by the way. You just have so many ideas. You do step one of about 12 of them. And then you're like, what am I doing? But hey, guys, we're here to talk about football. We're here to talk about the Washington Commanders. Today, we're going to be talking about Eric Bieniemy and his impact on the offense. Apparently, today, offense is not doing well, but we're going to go ahead and talk about the energy he's brought to the table, what he's done for Terry McLaurin, for Sam Howell, etc. We are going to get to the comment mailbag as we always do. And again, shout out to Tony. For some reason, it didn't show up when I was going through the comments. The last time we did the episode, KDot, you know about disappearing comments. We've talked about it in the past, but we got it. And then after the pod, as we always do, but we got to begin, KDot, with Kam Curl. Okay, so starting safety for the Washington Commanders. He is due a contract extension. He is also in the final year of his deal. He was a 7th round pick in 2020, but he has been anything but terrible his entire time. He's spectacular. In fact, he's top 5 according to Pro Football Focus in terms of many metrics. Okay, this guy, when he plays, is a difference maker. We missed him for the first 2 games last season. It showed. He comes back, start winning. Then we miss him the last 3 games of the season. We lose 2 of those 3. Kam Curl is incredibly important to this defense. So that gives us Kam Curl. That gives us Chase Young. That gives us Montez Sweat. All in need of new deals. KDot, do we need to get this Kam Curl deal done now? Are we willing to wait till after the season where he becomes a free agent? What do you make of the Kam Curl situation right now?
It's the one that I'm probably the most afraid about. If I look over the last 2 decades in Washington, as far as the safety position, we've seen some real bright spots at times, right? But then I always feel as though those bright spots, whether it be tragically or through stupidity, burn out or flame out before we get the best out of these people, right? So, like, everybody remember Sean Taylor. Don't need to really go into more details about that. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
But then you look at, like, their decision to get rid of Ryan Clark, bringing in LaRon Landry, where Ryan Clark goes off to Pittsburgh and plays, like, damn near great. I'm not going to say Hall of Famer, but fucking great.
Incredible.
Pittsburgh, we would have loved to have him continue to be here, and he would have loved to stay here, but they let him walk to go get the other guy. You look at other bright spots we've had, like DJ Swearinger, who was awesome for us in that secondary, and then he lipped off by some of the coaches, and then before you know it, he's in the XFL. So, like, there, and then you have Kam Curl, who, in my opinion, his rookie season he was the best rookie safety. I mean, there was a lot of people that were going with that Chin kid in Carolina, but if you looked at anything PFF or otherwise, he was absolutely lights out better. Kam Curl was. And as you said, there are a few guys on the defense where you can actually look at net wins and losses more than him as far as his impact on the defense. It's a guy that's back there that knows what's happening. He's a dude that's gotten people lined up before. Like, he knows he has this instinctual ability in that secondary that you just can't teach. But on top of that, he is a student of the game. You could see him improving in certain ways. Like last year, there was the injury bug, which I know some people, he hasn't been healthy. How much can he really demand? This, that, and the other. Look, if you got a known commodity in him, I don't need to be taking chances elsewhere, because it's not the cupboard's been barren except for these few bright spots, and you need to fucking take care of these dudes when you can. If I look at the defensive line, like if I'm prioritizing, yeah, Chase Young, Montez Sweat might make more splashy plays, but I can't attribute either one of those guys to the wins and losses standpoint that I can with Kam Curl. Not to mention, because of how deep we are on the defensive line at times, if you were to have to choose and let one of those guys walk, you sort of make up the production and you still have a bunch of studs at every other position around them, right? Whereas with Kam Curl, and you have a secondary who fairly young outside of Fuller. You got St. Juice. You have, we love Emmanuel Forbes.
Derek Forrest,
all these got young guys, and it looks as though
Jeremy
they look
Reeves.
to Kam Curl for everything. So if there's the guy that's going to be the leader of this group, the dude that could take everybody on the next level, Kam Curl is one of my top priorities, unless he has some flame out terrible season this year, and I'm not expecting that at all.
Okay, cool. And so once again, just to speak to the PFF ratings, we're talking 80 plus in tackling, 80 plus in run defense, and 80 plus in coverage. That is everything on defense, by the way, just to be clear. Not to mention the leadership and the communication he brings to the secondary that KDot was talking about just then, making sure people are organized, making sure that we know our assignments, because it was night and day the moment he appeared in our defense. Once again, we really missed him. So KDot, here's an interesting question for you. Let's say you were able to sign 2 of the 3, right? You're the GM and you're able to sign 2 of the 3. One of them has to walk. Okay, let's say, pure hypothetical, Kam Curl, Chase Young, Montez Sweat. What are you doing?
Hard question, and I know that I'm already feel like I'm trying to cop out of it. But let me just to clear, I'm not going to bail on it. Just need some parameters here. Okay,
I'm going to answer it too, by the way.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
Cool. Are we talking about like right now? If I had to make a decision based on what I've seen, what do I think will happen by the end of the season in decision?
This is you, the GM. This is you, KDot, the GM.
If I'm
right
the GM,
now. Right now.
If I'm the GM right now, I'm looking to sign Kam Curl long term. And the reason I'm looking to sign Kam Curl long term is because of that injury from last year, and because I think if the front 4 are working and are healthy and really productive, Kam Curl's production might even be more on that back end, which might mean that he commands a higher fucking salary. So get in while the getting's good, and get him in for as cheap as I can for as long as I can. To Kam Curl, easy priority. The Montez Sweat Chase Young thing is because of how long we've waited already to get them signed to long-term deals. I've got to kind of see what they do. Is Chase Young, in what we saw in minicamp, is he back to full form? Is he being even, if he's back to full form and progressing the way that we saw him doing before the injury, yeah, I think that's a slam dunk. That's a generational talent.
Yeah.
If I had to make a decision just based on what I've seen produced, period, it's hard for me to go against Montez, because if I look at the numbers and everything else, he's just produced more.
Yeah, and so that's exactly where I'm going. If I were to prioritize this, and this is right now, this can be totally different at the end of the season, but I want the players that are on the field first and foremost and have the largest impact. And for that, it's going to be Kam Curl number 1, because we already have Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, right? So if you talk about balance in a defense, you need that guy in the secondary that's going to organize everything. You need to, if anyone's still thinking about Kam Curl as the 7th round pick, well, that's the same way as rating Terry, the way he is, like, right? He wasn't a 1st round pick, but it's Kam Curl is incredibly important to this defense. We saw that last season. We've seen it the season before as well. Kam Curl to me is the number 1 priority, because we already have strong defensive linemen. And then if I'm picking one of 2 as of right now, and this is probably going to infuriate some people, give me Montez Sweat, because he's been on the field. Now, we talk about Chase Young, his talent, his charisma. He's the most charismatic of the lot. He's from the area. Like, we love Chase Young. If he puts together a full season, just being available honestly, KDot, that might be enough for me to go, I want Chase here, just because of his meaning to the city, his meaning to the area. And you know that talent will shine. I don't think Chase goes an entire season and is a disappointment. You're Kay Adams going defensive player of the year. She really believes in Chase Young this coming season. And honestly, hard to falter, because if you do get a healthy Chase Young, I mean, he was looked at like the Bosa's. And so I think I would ultimately end up with Chase Young. But right now, KDot, right now, it's Kam Curl, it's Montez Sweat. That's the way I'm ranking it. And Chase Young third. We need to see it.
I don't fault you. I mean, I get that. Like, even looking at this offseason, as far as like where I was prioritizing certain contracts going, Montez has got to be higher. Like, he's got to be on the list just based on what he's done, and he's special. He has a special defensive end. I think the only thing that the Chase Young thing to me, if I'm going to pull back just a little bit, I know I have said on this podcast, I get the production's there, and I get you have to give him credit because the defense has been good. I still am not a believer that Jack Del Rio is getting the best out of this defense. And what I would really, really hate, and I could see it already, even though brand new day can't bring the demons from the ghosts from the past.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see Chase Young going somewhere else and just having like a Hall of Fame fucking career. Like,
by the way, that is very clear to me.
And like in a Bears uniform, just fucking wreaking havoc. Like, it's just. That would sadden me to know it. Like, the idea that when's the next time we're gonna see a Washington Hall of Famer? When's the last time we're gonna have a guy of ours get inducted that we watched play, not one of the historic guys, right?
I mean, you could make a case. Honestly, if Terry ends up winning a Super Bowl, think about the number of 1,000-yard receiving years he's had and how many quarterbacks he's played with. If you're talking about producing no matter who's throwing, he's incredible. So Terry's absolutely incredible.
Right. So that's a weight. And I look at the guy who's going to get in, but won't get in as one of our guys, is Trent. And it still kills me that that's going to be the case. And it's like, I want us to take care of our guys, but I also know that I am a fan. And being a fan, I can be a little biased as far as wanting the guys that I root for to be around.
Right.
So maybe I need to be more cold at calculating that. But I just think Chase in that rookie season just showed he had something. And
defensive rookie of the year. Like, yeah, clearly. Right. And the impact he had on the defense was phenomenal. So,
but I'm still a believer that they are coasting off the physical talent of the defense more than the scheming. Mm-hmm. I believe that to my core. I'm not saying Jack Del Rio is bad. I'm just saying I don't think he's innovative with the guys that we have on the defense. And I don't think he's allowing some of the guys to shine the way they need to, or not disciplining them enough to get the best out of them, even if they don't know what's best for them.
Well, I would say that the discipline here, because I think Del Rio and Rivera are a bit old school in the way they approach things. And if you look at the GMs, right, we're talking Martin Herney and Martin Mayhew, Marty Herney, excuse me, Martin Mayhew being the actual GM. It's an old school approach. So you talk about discipline. Well, not picking up Chase's fifth year, I think, is the form of discipline. I think it is, hey, we are not giving you this and we want to see you earn it. It's just an old school way of thinking instead of, look, you were hurt. We know the talent. We've seen it. We trust you. We're going to go about picking this up, and then we will continue to talk about a long-term deal. You seem to have a different thought just reading your facial expression here.
I think it's old school, but I think it's an old school loser way. Like,
I'm not disagreeing with that. Right? I'm just telling you it is old
that's
school,
fair.
right?
But it's like we've had old school guys do, like, to me, there's the grit guys, right? The guys, the rah guys. We're going to talk about it a little bit as far as training camp, where you got the rah guy in the room. And on defense, to me, always, you need that energy. Like, that's something that I think is important to defense. I don't need rah on offense all the time. I don't think that's necessary. I think depending on how you have the leadership structure, but on defense, you need fucking anger. You need meanness. You need guys to be upset.
I think we get that from John Allen. I think we get that from Deron Payne. I think we get it from Kam Curl. Just because Kam Curl is a bit more quiet, like media wise and stuff like that, doesn't mean you're not getting it.
I'm not even criticizing the players necessarily. I think that
Okay.
they feed off of each other to a certain degree, but there's a limit. I don't think that the coaches are fostering it, and I don't think that the coaches are
Okay.
yeah, I just don't think the coaches are that involved in that. And I think that what you're seeing as far as what we've heard from the coaching staff, or even what you're seeing from people in training camp, as far as how quiet things are, unless Chase and Montez are making things happen.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like,
absolutely.
it's not the defensive guys. Hey man, let's go. Like you watch Hard Knocks and you're like, oh shit. Like the defensive guys out there fucking battling with these dudes. They feel like they want to get the fucking pads on too. Like that's what I want to feel. Right. It's like, other than Chase and Montez talking shit, like dude, I don't get that. And I just wish our defense was meaner. I just think that they have the ability to be meaner.
Well, you did have Benjamin St-Juste popping Cole Turner over the middle today and standing over him. So there's a little bit of meanness over there.
And then what happened?
Yeah, well, and we're going to get to that in a moment here, KDot, because we're going to talk about Eric Bieniemy. But you know my thoughts and feelings on the coaching staff. It's pretty well documented over here. They have a year to prove it, as far as I'm concerned. This is their obviously last chance. They're still here. And if they want to continue to be here, it needs to be a very good year. Simple as that. Am I
the only person in the area that is higher on Ron Rivera than Jack Del Rio?
No, okay. I don't think you are. I don't think you are. But let's talk about the new member of the coaching staff, Eric Bieniemy, right? Who is also sort of old school in his ways and his ways of thinking, but he does bring a certain charisma and a certain energy that I think all Washington fans are finding infectious right now, right? Anytime you read Eric Bieniemy's name, whether it be on Twitter, X, whatever it's called, or Instagram, or, in any news article, you see the interviews, you hear about offensive players talking about him, you get excited. It's natural to do so. KDot, I wanted to ask you, what are expectations for this Eric Bieniemy offense this coming season? There's a lot of excitement around it.
Upward trajectory. That's it.
What do you mean by that?
I want to see them finish better than they started. And I want that to be a big thing. I want there to be a diametrically opposed. I can look and see that they've improved, unless they start out on fucking fire, which I would strongly doubt would be the fucking case. Just being that there's so many things that are new. You got the new offensive coordinator, new offensive scheme. Scott Turner was here how long? 3 years?
3-4 years, yeah.
3-4 years?
Yeah.
So they're unlearning that shit, which doesn't seem like Eric's doing anything that Scott Turner was doing, right? So, there's that element. There's a brand new quarterback who had one game under his fucking belt. And if we look at that, you think, all right, well, he was in training camp and everything last year, not throwing at any of the ones. So it's like he didn't get a chance. Even the Kay Adams interview, I did get to watch the Sam Howell one. He's like, it's great finally get an opportunity to throw to these guys. I only got it the last week of the season. So it's like I just need to see the chemistry sort of build. I need to see, because Eric's going to be learning things too, as far as the players that he has. You don't know until they get into full game time, right? It's like, I don't think anybody expects a new offense coordinator and a young new quarterback learning a new system to come out and just set the world on fire. It doesn't usually work that way. The only thing that I would say is that, I think the skills position players are talented enough that they can make things easier or be capable of the big plays. And that's something I want to see too, is that even if the offense isn't fully clicking and on fire, right? Are they giving the opportunities to our playmakers to make plays? And I think that's something that Eric Bieniemy, you hear him talk about, you hear all the guys talk about how much Kansas City he talks about, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing that Kansas City did for the longest time. I mean, get the ball to Tariq Hill. Just do it. Get the ball to Travis Kelce. Just fucking do it, right? The Kansas City offense was the best it's ever been this last season, when Patrick Mahomes had to then learn how to do things without Tyreek Hill, right? So there is an element of, during your quarterback development, you can always get better, but just get the hands of the playmakers. It'll help your confidence, it'll help the confidence of the offense, and you'll win some fucking games. So as long as there's a combination of those things happening, where I thought that Scott Turner really lacked in, which is getting the ball to these guys in space, easy pass. Not a whole lot that you had to have Sam Howell do or the quarterback do. Just get the fucking ball to this dude, right?
Yeah.
Just do that. If I'm seeing the combination of those two things, to me, that's a success.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you even look at the highlights, because of course the Commanders social media team is going to make sure it looks good and stuff like that, right? But what you are seeing actually, you're seeing the occasional deep ball from Sam Howell, but you're seeing shovel passes, you're seeing no look passes, but they're short. I do actually think that the plan is get the ball out of Sam's hands very quickly to establish a rhythm so that the offense feels comfortable. And it also will help an admittedly spotty O line. Just speaking about Kay Adams, she spoke to Antonio Gibson, who I think was pretty honest. Oh yeah, apparently doesn't like that. But he was pretty honest with his assessment of the offensive line, saying, "Hey, they need to work on the chemistry and stuff like that." So, in order to help an offensive line out that would not be considered top 10 by any means, like you need to get the ball out quickly. You need to be able to support the weaker parts of the offense. Offensive line being a weaker part of it always makes it tough to judge whether an offense is an offensive game plan, right, for the offensive coordinator is good or not, whether the quarterback is good or not. But it does seem like I do have some hope that they're going to get the ball out quickly. And I also think Sam being a mobile QB, not one that's run first, but one that sees space, takes space. We've talked about this a whole bunch. Cautious optimism that they can actually do something. But I love what you said. Upward trajectory. That's what we're looking for. Any additional thoughts on Eric Bieniemy and maybe stuff you want to see at the beginning of the season? So you talk about the upward trajectory, KDot, but like what would make the beginning of the season sort of successful to you, or would make you excited about the rest of the year?
To see how the playmakers are going to be used.
Okay.
So, I think it's been known that Antonio Gibson is going to be used a bit differently than he has been used in the past, right?
Mm-hmm. Shout out his agent, who is definitely in his ear going, "You're a receiver. You're a receiver. You're a receiver. Running backs aren't getting paid. You are a receiver."
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, here, if you are a running back, Christian McCaffrey, just keep dropping his name. Yeah. So it's like, I want to see how they're utilizing the guys and how it is that Eric's kind of learning how to utilize the guys. So, like, I expect Jahan Dotson to be all over the fucking field. I expect Terry McLaurin to be getting the ball more than just deep down the fucking field. I want to see Gibson lined up in multiple areas on the field. I want to see double back sets. I just want to see where it is these guys are going to be, how creative we're going to be with getting the ball to the playmakers. What?
No, I'm only laughing because I think many steps behind that in just saying, I don't want to see false starts. I don't want to see illegal formations, like those little things.
Done deal. It's already going to happen.
But if we can, but the question was, what would excite you at the beginning of the season?
Oh, excite
if
you,
we're actually clean from a penalty perspective. Okay, maybe we don't execute very well, but like at least that stuff is sorted out. Then I'm actually like, all right, cool. We will start executing on this. I have faith in Sam Howell. I do think that he'll be able to make some plays.
Broncos, Bills, Eagles. 3 out of the first 4. Over and under 30 false starts. I'm checking.
I mean, honestly, right?
And look, we know that those are going to be the things that we're going to watch, right? What's probably going to happen is that first Arizona game, they're going to look pretty good. What you're going to see is you're probably going to see like a few false starts that are going to be like, man, that was stupid. But they'll get the win and everybody will be like, yeah, you know what? We'll be all right. And then it will rear its ugly head again the following week. And we'll see what the fuck happens. Look, it's a matter. This is the Eric Bieniemy rah, 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 yelling at dudes going to be the thing that gets them to, I don't think they're used to it. I don't think they're used to it here. I hope it resonates. The way that they have been doing reached a cap. They haven't been able to cross over, so it is worth doing something different. I think the only I was gonna say something before we went to the expectations piece, or the what would excite you piece.
Right.
And I guess it's one and the same, because I'm thinking about this and I was contemplating whether or not I even want to say it. I still have a little reservation. There's a little pit in my stomach that is afraid of the Eric Bieniemy thing.
Oh, because of the Andy Reid involvement and the Matt Nagy involvement.
There's also a little part of me that remembers I've worked a lot of jobs. I've been on a lot of teams. I've led teams. I usually don't like leading teams. I like being the second guy. I'm a good consigliere. I like to be able to do the pup without being the big guy on stage, right? Yeah. So there is a lot of element where sometimes the loudest guy in the room is
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like
this is true. This is true across all places.
So it's like it's every once in a while when I'm hearing the training camp stuff, I'm just kind of like, And then I keep hearing that all he talks about is Kansas City. I'm like, It's just like I don't usually you don't get dudes to do that. Like they don't have to do that. They don't talk about that, right? Like if when you get like if Bill Belichick walks in the room in New England, like he had success before he got there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he's talking about the Giants the entire time. I think you know who he is. You should know already. When you walk in the room, you should already know what he's done. You know my fucking resume. I don't need to bring it up. I could bring out what the reason we did maybe this and this is where we're doing it, but I don't even think he'll use that. I know he's a historian of the game, but I just doubt he's flaunting his resume to you to try to convince you to buy in.
Right.
And it just scares me. I'm gonna be completely honest. It just scares me. And I'm hoping those are just stupid insecurities of a bygone Snyder era just rearing its ugly head. But no, I will admit that I am legitimately a little worried.
Well, the thing is, I wouldn't fault you for that, right? I mean, depending on how much you chose to, for those that watch quarterback, if you read into it and went, hey, I didn't see a lot of Eric Bieniemy, I can understand your concern. I am less concerned. I do think that it is one of those things where when you are around it and you're involved, you are going to see what you feel works. You're going to bring over what you feel works. And I think the difference with him is he's like making sure people jog to the huddle instead of like walk to the huddle. And he's getting after them about that.
I have to interject for just a second.
You had a few things to say, by the way. Go ahead.
As loud as this motherfucker is in training camp, is there what are the prospects the Netflix cameras did not pick him up? If he's half of as loud as he is here, how the fuck is he not on Netflix?
That is an excellent point. and off the top of my head, in a raw moment here, can't answer that question.
I'm just like, if he's half as loud as he is here, just half, they would have picked something up. No, I'm just.
It's a good point.
Is this
point.
One
hey,
of those
listen,
things?
That is a good point. It is. You would think you would hear something, and we didn't.
Like I don't expect. Like if Patrick Mahomes played for the fucking Lions or they did Jared Goff, I know I'm going to see Dan Campbell a lot. I know I'm going to see a lot of the assistant coaches. Like I know I'm going to see them.
And you saw a ton of Deuce Staley, for example.
Right, like I know I'm going to see those dudes, but Eric Bieniemy, like the way that he acts here, makes it seem like he's always the most vocal guy in the room, or he's always the dude that's checking people.
So
like,
here, I'm gonna allow me
to
to speculate a little bit.
All right, go please. Make me feel better about this.
Sure. Okay. The series is called Quarterback, and when you look at it, the two most involved people, Andy Reid has always been involved on the offensive side of things historically, right? In Philadelphia, Kansas City, that's been what he's done. Matt Nagy, quarterback's coach, right? So of course he's going to be involved. Eric Bieniemy comes from a more running back background. I imagine if you even think about, we picked up Derek Gore. That's something that we can mention here as well, right? We picked up Derek Gore. We picked up a couple offensive linemen. Like this to me is much more, he was focused on that side of things. He had the title offensive coordinator, but I think he would have been, if the series were called running back, you're seeing a hell of a lot more of him than Matt Nagy, for example. I think he had involvement with Pacheco, involvement with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think that's where he probably shines a lot more because he was a running back as well, KDot. And Andy Reid was the guy that wanted to move up, right, to get Patrick Mahomes. Matt Nagy was the guy that wanted to move up. So, like, the relationship is already established over there. That is my thought on it, is that he's much more running backs focused. So if you're thinking about that, that would be Brian Robinson. That would be, I hate to say it, but Antonio Gibson, because he is a wide receiver, his words. I think that, and Derek Gore, like, that I think, and Chris Rodriguez, that I think is where his impact would have been more in Kansas City. That's my thought. That's the only way I could counter that. Andy Reid has that offense on lock, dude. He's always had that offensive lock. It was on lock before Eric Bieniemy. It's going to be on lock after Eric Bieniemy. Andy Reid has never had a bad offense. Honestly, look back. He has never. So like An offensive coordinator is really someone just learning from the guy. That's all it's ever been. And they've all gotten jobs before. All of them. Peterson, Nagy, that's the thing.
So, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Peterson and Nagy.
Both QB guys as well.
Both QB
Peterson,
guys.
former QB.
Nagy started out on fire, and then it went to shit. But
as a head coach.
Yeah. But we're saying that those guys are more involved in the quarterback thing, even with Andy Reid being completely involved in everything, right?
Yes.
So Andy Reid's very involved in the passing game. The guys that get elevated outside of the offense and do well, at least even for a little bit as a head coach or anything otherwise, Peterson being probably the leader in the clubhouse there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are guys that were on the quarterback side of things.
Yeah, and that makes sense. If you look at coaching hires these days, they tend to be offensive minds that worked with the QBs because they want to establish a relationship with their young one, either the one they have or the one they're about to draft. It makes sense from an Eric Bieniemy perspective of like, okay, you were less involved than Nagy and Reid. I don't want to give you the head coaching job. That makes sense to me.
So I think what I was trying to do just now actually is I've been looking up the rushing stats for Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
So 2022, they're ranked 20th. Not bad.
Now, is this in yards? Is this yards per carry?
Yards per game, which is probably not a good benchmark. I can't find anything that shows me just the ranking that they had offensively on the run per year. But I will say that what I've always established in Kansas City is that was the one thing they've always been looking for. And a better defense.
Yeah, that's fair. They drafted Clyde first round.
This has turned into I'm shitting on Eric Bieniemy, and I don't want to.
You're just playing devil's advocate. I hope people understand that as well. Yes, you do have concerns, but I also don't think you're coming from the perspective of this is going to be terrible. Like you've never once said that.
No, and Eric Bieniemy being a dude that for so long being a black assistant coach in a place where all the guys get elevated, I wanted to see elevated.
Yeah,
just because I haven't think it was fair, and I think to help other black coaches would be to see Eric Bieniemy succeed. I want them to all be wrong about Eric Bieniemy and him to go completely out. Like it's bigger than football, just football to me when it comes to him and his success. I want him to succeed extremely badly for what it could mean.
I think he's in the right place to do it too. Just even 100%. From a cultural perspective, DC makes a lot of sense.
100%. And I don't know if it's just the little voice in me. I don't know what, but everything I'm thinking logically is just saying, I can't wait for football to start because I need to see. I have to see this. I don't know. I am so up in the air on this, and I don't know. And I just want to see it. I'm rooting for it. You'd be hard pressed for me to say that I know what's going to happen or I know it will be good. I'm rooting for it.
Well, time will tell. And preseason starts next week. So we'll be able to begin talking about, hey, how does the offense look? How many penalties were there? Did we execute? I don't know. I'm pretty excited for it. I'm pretty excited
Terry
for football
McLaurin. Do we get a blow up of an offensive player against Eric Bieniemy at some point in the first 6 games? Does Terry go
in the first 6 games?
Does Terry go off on Eric?
I think you'll see one. But I think it's because they're both just going to be high energy. It's not going to be Terry, just to be clear. But it is going to be. Let's see. This is a fun game. If you had to, before we get to the comment mailbag,
who's the first one that gets in a sideline riff
player, right?
Gets on an on-camera sideline riff with Eric Bieniemy that they won't show if Sam Howell's on quarterback next year.
De'Ami Brown.
I think that's really risky from a guy that might be on the bubble.
He won't be on the bubble. Based on what everyone's saying and based on the familiarity, and even Sam Howell in that interview again with Kay Adams, he called out De'Ami immediately. Now he's got the North Carolina connection with him.
He does.
But I do think that there is that chemistry is going to be leaned on. It would be kind of strange to cut him, keep somebody else, but that's what the preseason is for. That's where throwing on the pads and seeing how people perform when the lights are on matters.
And it's risky. Don't get into it with the offense coordinator unless you got a guaranteed contract.
Okay, but a lot of athletes make very interesting decisions, is what I'll say.
I can't remember the last time I've seen a not valuable player really get into it with
Are you saying De'Ami Brown's not valuable?
I'm saying he's got to prove his value.
He definitely does, though. He definitely does.
Yeah.
Why don't we go ahead and jump into the comment mailbag where we have 3 comments. The first one being from Ref the District. Shout out Ref the District, and congrats to them. I believe they joined is it the Believe Network?
Believe Network? Yeah, spelled wrong. Believe.
Right. Believe. Is it Believe? Believe?
I think it's Believe.
Believe.
Right?
Okay,
Believe.
Well, hey, congrats to them.
It's like what Dazn, DAZN.
Oh,
Just spell
right,
shit
DAZN.
right. I'm not hating. Get you dudes, congrats. Elevate your game. It's
Keep
fucking
going.
awesome. It's dope.
Yeah.
Network. Spell your shit out.
Although they're good about it. They are Ref the District. They have spelled their stuff out.
Yeah, they're good. I'm talking about the fucking networks, man. Stop trying to be clever.
They wrote, "Let's go." Shout out Ref the District for that comment. And getting in the comment mailbag. And then we got 2 from the aforementioned at the beginning of the video. Tony. Shout out, Tony. The first one, which was addressed, but it must be read in its entirety. The A train did not stop here their week. Whoa, I actually didn't read that the first time. The A train didn't stop here their week. Y'all missed my comment from last week's video. That is true. We did. It's all good, fellas. Any thoughts on a name change? So first off, Tony, we love you. Shout out. And Vindo actually replied to it, pointing up, being like, hey, I think I got the same question here, boys. Any thoughts on a name change, KDot?
I think it's stupid. We're already talking about this. I also know that ownership, especially Magic Johnson, has sort of brought it to the fucking forefront. And I see the petition and everything else. I'm over this overall.
Yeah.
Look, do I think the Commander's name is great? No. Do I think most team names are great? No. Do I think you get used to it after a period of time? Yes. And we haven't done that. Now, there is an argument, and the new thing that everybody's saying to try to sell us on it is, well, do you really want the name to be something Dan Snyder picked? Like, how about we get rid of the Dan Snyder era?
Give a shit about that.
I get that to some degree, but if that means reinstituting a name that George Preston Marshall came up with, one of the most racist fucking owners in the history of professional sports, the last guy to want to integrate anything, he had to be forced by the federal fucking government to integrate his team. If you don't want to be if you don't want fucking Snyder's legacy, do you want his legacy? And if you're on the defense about like, whoa, the names are racist, Native Americans like name this and the other, we've gone through too many fucking periods of this goddamn thing being in all the newspapers. How many Washington Post fucking exposés are there? How many fucking? I don't want to go down this fucking road again.
Yeah, I'm just gonna jump into. I'm tired of rebrands. The last one was exhausting. I know that yeah, bitch was the owner and stuff like that. I'm not trying to do another one right now. It's refreshing to just focus on the football side of things. Today, we got to talk about Kam Curl and his contract extension. Today, we got to talk about Eric Bieniemy. We got to talk about Cole Turner getting popped over the middle by Benjamin St-Juste. McLaurin saying, don't do that to your teammate, bro. Eric Bieniemy, cursing out St-Juste as well. Like, let's talk about that stuff. My thoughts on a name change, we could be called the Kangaroos. So long as we're winning, I really don't care. It doesn't even need to have relevance to the area. Like, I just want to win. Commanders, to me, at this point, is fine. You can call the FedEx Field the command center, the new place the command center, whatever. I really don't care. So long as we're winning games. If we're losing, let's rebrand the fuck out of this thing and just get all the stench off. Fine. But if we're winning, I don't care. I really don't. That's where I'm at.
Pick a fucking name. Everyone's got to go through growing pains. And I know that I focus more on us reverting the name back, but I don't want to do any of this shit. Just let's move on.
I agree. We do have one more comment from Tony. Shout out Tony.
Tony.
KDot, good assessment of Christopher Nolan.
No.
He's an incredible movie director, and he's my favorite.
Wow.
He does a lot of time concept movies. Inception and the Batman trilogy are some of my favorites. I understand your frustration, but most people don't know movies director names. You're in the smaller pool of people here. Accept it, bro. Tony, thank you for this comment, because KDot made it sound like I was committing war crimes by not knowing the names of some of these movie directors. I agree. KDot, your take on the comment.
Tony, I appreciate it. And I appreciate that you're trying to make the Amit feel comfortable.
A-Train.
A Train, sorry, feel comfortable.
Can't wait for the shirts.
About his ignorance. Look, I'm a person that believes that, like, if I have somebody I care about, right, then you should criticize. You should get them to be better than what they are. You know, should get them to not settle, right? Like, I was a guy that when I went to school, if I got good grades, it was thank you for doing the thing you're supposed to do. You know, you're not getting extra kudos. You do the things you're supposed to do. If you get a bad grade, what the fuck is wrong with you? Get your shit together. Do better, right? Popularity, things that most people know, are not good benchmarks in this country as far as what should be what we strive for or what should be okay or is acceptable. We live in a country that elected Donald Trump. It's not okay. It's not okay. We're in a country that likes ketchup on shit. That's fucking stupid. Like, gotta do better. And the thing is, when I look at my co-host here and say, hey, I need you to know these things, or I'm disappointed that he doesn't know those things, supposed to light a fire. Supposed to light the fire in order for him to better himself, not to then get coddled into being okay and feeling all right in his ignorance, right? We need a few things from Mama. We need him to watch more movies. We need him to care about his nasal cavity and all the cocaine that he uses. We need him to step up just a little bit. Just a little bit. Now, here's the thing. Amit's doing great in a lot of walks of life. I look up to him. Me and him had a conversation right before this podcast started. My life is falling apart professionally. I'm broke as shit. He's great. Look at that apartment. Look at that place he's in with a fucking water view. Like, he's fucking dope. All right? But there's certain avenues in which we got to help each other get better. If I'm struggling in one category, he's there to help me out. You know, if he's struggling in some other category, I got to help him out.
And he has.
Stop letting people settle for less. Expect more. Get more.
KDot Train 2024. Look out.
I can't run for president.
No, you really can't. Absolutely can't. But you did cut a bit of a promo there. I did appreciate that. This was District Divided DC Sports Podcast, more specifically a Washington Commanders podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like the video, please share the video, please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. I'm starting to get good at this. And please comment on the videos as you always do. We read them out in the comment mailbag. And if we miss them, we apparently lead the show off. I didn't even know I was going to do that. We lead the show off with the comments that we missed. We really appreciate you guys. After the pod begins right now. Boom. Man, smooth. Not bad. I do still need to watch The Godfather. I did have time. and then I just got caught up watching the Women's World Cup, which has been fun. The U.S. women's national team right now is a disaster. We don't have to get into that, but they made the knockout rounds. But boy, oh boy. I mean, even and you'll enjoy this, from the scheduling perspective, the Women's World Cup set it up such that if the U.S. won their group, they were getting primetime games here.
Yeah.
They did not. And I guess you know with your work with some bars. And now we're at 5 a.m. on Sunday morning.
Fucking Sunday.
And if we win that, it's 3 a.m. on like Friday. So they've fucked it. They've absolutely fucked it. A lot of questions.
I do have one question for you. As somebody who doesn't like, I've not watched any of the matches.
Okay.
Just haven't. I have watched highlights to cut together promo videos for promotion at bars.
That's probably been tough. Yeah.
I did see Carly Lloyd criticizing the team for what it is they were doing after that draw.
Oh, you're going to get me in hot water. Go ahead.
What did you think? I have my opinion, but I also know I'm ignorant mostly about the sport, so I don't feel like I should even share it. But what did you think?
Okay, so if I'm being 100% honest, her comments were directed more towards the older players like Alex Morgan and Megan Rapinoe that looked like they were dancing. Alex Morgan definitely was. I need to double check if Megan Rapinoe was as well. I thought she was 100% correct. I thought she could have gone harder, frankly. And I think she did, considering she was on Fox. She's got the whole nation watching, and people know it's pretty well documented that she and Vlatko don't get along very well, the current head coach. I think she did pretty well. I think it was still measured. And I think a lot of people, I'm going to alienate some folks. I think a lot of y'all fuckers soft. Okay. I mean, it tells me very, very quickly that you were going against the person instead of what you saw too. If you were honest about what you saw in that game, I wanted Carly to go harder, frankly. And that was, dude, we almost lost to Portugal. That was their first time in the World Cup. We didn't score. Like, think about that. That is so bad. Like, that is so... This team cannot score. They're not balanced in any part of the field. And Carly Lloyd, who loves and cares about the team, and yes, she's got some problems with the federation and stuff like that. Yeah, she's got something to say, but I think she has every right to say it considering all her contributions she's made to the national team. That's how I feel about it. I had no problem with anything she said, honestly.
That was like, as a person, it's not like when they show, because they juxtaposed the celebration stuff.
Yeah.
It was like, I thought we're supposed to dominate this. Like, I thought that was like a foregone conclusion, is that we are the United States. Our men's team sucks usually. But our women's team, we fucking dominate. And
excuse Carly for keeping the standard high.
Right. Like, she should get you to watch the fucking Godfather. But have her quiz you on some goddamn director names. No, it was like it just, when I was like, all right, that's the thing. Is like, when I saw it, I was like, this is fucking soccer. They celebrate draws. What the fuck is this bullshit? Like, it just put a bad taste in my mouth just as a sports watcher.
Right.
It's like, ugh. And I was like, at least I look at the lines on fucking FanDuel and everything, and I'm seeing draws come out compared to what it is an American victory supposed to look like. I'm like, that looks like a disappointment, guys.
Oh, I'll be honest. I've bet on a draw after 90 minutes against Sweden.
Oh, really?
I don't expect the team to score unless they choose to sit back and counter. So, I mean, there are many different ways you can play, like strategically. And what they're used to doing is dominating opponents. They get the ball, they move it around, stuff like that. Physically. They can't do that right now. And physically, they rely on their athleticism a whole lot. Right now, because they can't move the ball at all, because they're not moving, for each other, their only option, in my opinion, is to sit back, rely on that athleticism, and play as athletic a front three as possible. All the players are talented, so I'm not concerned about them being able to take a touch. But Alex Morgan cannot continue to start. It's not working. It really needs to be a younger front three of Trinity Rodman, Sophia Smith, and you could pick Lynn Williams or Alyssa Thompson. I know you may not be familiar with the names. It's fine. It's for those that are. But like, you would need to do something like that and look to counter 3-on-3, 3-on-2. Because right now they're going against, it's like 3-on-6. And they're so used to dominating these players that they are, and this is on them too. It's not all Vlatko. I do think he has most of the blame, but they're choosing to try and take these players on and are stunned when they get stopped. They need to turn around, reset the play, and go. They're just used to being the stars on their team, and this is what you're seeing. But that's part of the job of the U.S. Women's national team manager and coach, is to be like, hey, you're around extremely talented people, the best players in the world. Use them. It's not all you anymore. That's me.
Totally fair. I have got some insight. I still won't watch, but got some insight.
Yeah, there you go.
It's just, yeah, it's just, I did, when I saw that, I was like, okay. But there's, so it's like, I hear about the United States dominating, but then I see the struggle in it, but then I also hear, I'm half Jamaican, and I hear the Jamaican team had to have a GoFundMe in order to get over there.
They've gone as far as we have. Yeah,
like,
round 16.
I'm just like, it's not looking good, ladies. Like, it's just, yeah, that's a rough go. But hey, so if they lose, then they're done.
Then they're done. This is officially the knockout round, KDot. So we're down to the last 16. They play again Sunday morning, 5 a.m. Eastern. If they lose, they are out. That is it.
Don't know what I'm rooting for.
It's interesting.
I'm just being honest.
Bar's keeping you busy?
Yeah, and I got to stay up all fucking hours while I have to be awake while they're playing.
You may as well watch in that case.
No, I'm watching movies. I have my phone. My phone.
What other movies?
So
Does
once again,
not know the director
my
of
phone.
Right.
My phone speaker is fucked up. Like, my speakerphone doesn't work.
So
I walk around with a Bluetooth speaker.
Of course.
Bounce off so I'm just like, I got my phone on super loud next to me, and anytime people taking photos at the bar or anything like that, I'm posting them immediately, or reaching out to this person or making sure the photographer's there, or that we actually have a DC soccer influencer that I'm doing co-promotion with at some of the parties.
Right. You were telling me about that.
Yeah. I guess I shouldn't say her name in case she doesn't want to be a part of this podcast because she has her own. Yeah, that's just like but so every time that there's a match, I have to make a poster. I get money for that. So that's like, all right, that's good.
Nice. So then you wanted to keep going. Not worth it though. Even card state, not worth it.
I guess it's fun. And there's more if
Okay,
the
you
bar is
enjoy it.
happy, then I'm happy. Mostly.
Okay.
Yes.
You could make some sarcastic posters if they lose. Like this would have been the matchup, and you can like hype it up for fun, but it just never happens.
The bar wouldn't like that.
I would appreciate it. I would find it funny.
Yeah, and I lost. Yeah, that's making me sad because I'm thinking about the clients that I lost that are still doing World Cup stuff. And I'm like, you bastards, I want to do that.
Bitches.
It wasn't on them. Yeah, it was on them. They chose to go in a different direction.
That's ridiculous.
I'm so sad.
I will never choose to go in a different direction, KDot, with you. Don't worry about that.
You might need to.
I might need to. Oh, we'll sort it out. Okay, but I do need to. Okay, so I do need to see The Godfather. Lord, I need to see The Wire. That has been on the list forever. I feel like
my
winter's gonna
girlfriend
be
started The
cold.
Wire before you. This is ridiculous. She doesn't watch anything, or she watches garbage. She started
What does she
The Wire.
watch? What does she watch?
I don't fucking know
So she
the
probably,
names.
if she's used to watching garbage, she probably doesn't even like The Wire.
I think she's afraid to tell me if she's bored by it.
See?
And she won't tell me if she doesn't like. I don't think she'll.
I do know that season 1, the first few episodes are obviously quite a bit of setup. You're making sure you know all the characters, what's going on, and then it's supposed to just take off like a rocket after the first few episodes. Is that correct? Is that a good read on it?
I wouldn't say that.
What would you say?
It's a continuous slow burn with moments.
Sounds like Breaking Bad.
Nope.
You closed your eyes a little longer than usual there. There was a thought. I believe I may have triggered.
I think Breaking Bad is overrated. And the reason I think Breaking Bad is overrated is because things are too neat and they play up things for dramatic and action effect.
Okay.
The Wire doesn't have those moments like that. Like if in Breaking Bad something explodes or a person's head gets put on a tortoise, in The Wire a few people go to jail. Like it's not
okay.
There's different stakes thing. This is not a show where like somebody put a car bomb in this thing. Like it's not. No, it's the streets of Baltimore in the early 2000s. It's not.
Ironically, this is selling me more on The Wire than before.
That's my thing. It's like it's grounded. Like there's
like
no.
that.
It's not. You show up and you're like what they do is you have a vested interest in every character, and you can see elements of yourself or other people in the characters that are being played. And it's like, I'm rooting for this guy. I'm actively rooting against guy, but I understand everybody's motives. I get it. And there's like, that's where they carry it. So when something happens, if somebody gets fired in real life, that's a momentous thing for people. And in the show, it's played up as a momentous thing for someone. It's not the cartel's now going to kill my family. Like
I see what you're saying.
It's a different thing. This was like, I would never, here's what I don't do. Even when you said you need to watch The Wire, I'm not telling you you need to. I won't.
And that's actually a good thing.
I will not press people for this show.
Interesting. This show specifically.
I think my thing is that it is universally, period, point blank, the greatest television show and a case for the greatest piece of art in the medium of camera and actors or anything, movie, anything of all time.
Okay.
It's in that pantheon. Okay. College courses are taught on this thing. It is in another level. It is superseded art. It transcends art. It's something else. But that being said, you need to want to. And I'm not going to press anybody to do it. It's not like, all right, I need you to watch this movie so you can understand how other movies work.
Right.
Or you can understand what The Wire stands alone. Like, in order to have a full understanding of Wire, there's more of an appreciation for journalism. There's more an appreciation for things that are happening in society. There's more of an appreciation for even writing. As far as like some of the classic authors, like there's elements of that.
Yeah.
more than there's an element of like, I just want you to watch this so you can understand when I talk about film in this way. The Wire stands alone. I don't compare it to other things really. I try not to. It's a different thing. And it's not. I also think it hurts. The further we get away from The Wire, the harder it's going to be for people to get into. Because it's dated.
So I got to see it sooner rather than later.
It doesn't matter. I mean, when's the last time you seen me walk around with a fucking pager? Or when's the last time you used a payphone? Like, there's things in that show that are not relevant at all anymore as far as the technology piece, but the human element.
I haven't seen a payphone in a while.
See what I'm saying? So like the human element of it is the thing that's transcendent, the thing that will never leave it, right? The idea that this city that we live in right now, I watched The Wire and I'm like, I can walk outside and see, or not just walk out, but I live in a really good neighborhood.
Visualize,
but I can drive a little bit and then see the progression of everything I saw on the show, and it makes sense. But so like there's that element of it, but like I look at it as like if you want to get into it, I almost look at it like somebody choosing to take a particular class in college.
Okay.
Like I'm not going to press you to. You don't need to take American history. I think it's important to take American history. I really do. I think it's important to know, to understand the socioeconomic situation in urban cities. I think it's important to do that stuff, but I can understand if you're just not built for it because it's not TV the way you're used to TV. It's just not.
Okay. Well, I love it. Well, we are.
Watch the fucking Wire, but watch the Godfather.
I was like, I thought you weren't going to press me.
No, maybe it's for
that being said,
maybe
watch
I do
the
want to press
fucking
people.
Wire. No. Just wanted to, before we drop off, we got the injury report. Logan Thomas, calf strain. Emmanuel Forbes, groin. Curtis Hodges, hamstring. Cody Barton, hip flexor. Sadiq Charles, calf strain. They're all day-to-day for the most part, which is good. But it does lead to the question real quick, KDot. If Jamin Davis gets suspended because he was speeding and he's got another court hearing August 31st, and Cody Barton's hurt.
What?
No linebackers? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, struggle. They didn't address position beyond that. So
they really didn't, did they?
Yeah, it's like I think that's one of those things. Is like, yeah, that would just be what happens. We're going to struggle. I don't.
My God, just would be
or
the
it's going to be
first
some
team in history to just play with no linebacker. We of course have.
No, they're going to
linebackers,
sign. They're going to look to see former Carolina Panther linebackers, and then there you go.
Well, I think
we
would probably see the return of David Mayo.
Bingo. Unless did he sign somewhere else?
No, he's here. He's here. We got Khalid Hudson, of course. But man,
I thought that was the breakout guy.
Khalid was solid. But like, man, I'm very curious to see because we often talk about defensive line stacked, secondary looking good. Not a linebacker, the middle unit. Like, it's going to be interesting to see. And to your point of Del Rio,
there's no depth. There's no depth.
And to your point, but although I would say Jamin had a nice year last year, he did respond to the critics, and I think he had a pretty good year. Yeah,
and they were utilizing nicely, but then they kind of went away from it. I don't know.
You know what? Next episode, we should also talk a little bit about Quan Martin. We haven't really dove into him. I feel like we've done a lot of Emmanuel Forbes stuff.
Well, I mean, next Friday when we do the pod, it'll be right before the preseason game. So we do a preseason preview and go over some of the guys to look out for.
Man, can't wait. That's going to be fun. Football is back, dude. Like that.
You watched the game last night?
That's exciting. I saw bits and pieces of it, but also, you know what happens to me? Like, soccer is going on throughout the summer. I'm watching that. And then I watched the first football game, and I'm excited for the first football game. And I need to readjust to a play, 40 seconds, a play, commercial. Like there's that adjustment period. I'm like, man, this is a slow sport. And then the fantasy draft rolls around and I'm all in again.
Oh, I got to start that shit up.
Yeah. I just made a dashboard. Maybe I'll share that with you sometime. Last year by quarter, not like first quarter, second quarter, third, but like of the season, first 4 games, next 4 games, target leaders, graphs, charts, all that jazz.
This is your 3rd year with us, right?
Yeah, back-to-back champ.
Yeah, we might kick you out.
Yeah, I know. And now we have to kick you guys out. We got to go. We'll see you guys later.
Bye, guys.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.